Get off your knees, ref. You're blowing the game. You missed about 7 calls for us and you're gonna take all the blame. We might be winning if you hadn't noticed the teams are not the same. Get off your knees, referee, you're blowing the game. Get off your knees, referee, you're blowing the game. Get off of your knees, referee. You're blowing the game.
Hello again, you hosers, and welcome to another episode of the Unlucky Puckheads podcast. You, of course, can visit our website at unluckypuckheads.com and follow us on social media at UPH Podcast on Twitter and Unlucky Puckheads on Facebook. And I am joined, as always, by PA Jets. How you doing, man?
What's going on, eh? Excited to have the season back.
Absolutely. Preseason has started. It is that point in time in the year. It's very exciting. But actually, before we get into that, we're actually going to talk some Nhl Trade news and some of the news that's been going on here. So you actually want to go ahead and start things off, and we'll get kicking right away.
Yeah, so the big trade, and, you know, it broke a lot of hearts, of course. Erik Karlsson went to San Jose along with Perron. The Sens got Chris Tierney, Dylan DeMillo, Rudolph Balcers, and prospect Josh Norris. And Ottawa receives a conditional 21 second-round selection or a first-round pick, which isn't lottery protected, if the Sharks reach the Stanley Cup, in 2019. So, you know, is that a good trade?
Is that a good trade? For what team?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I did make a comment on Twitter that EK is one of those guys that, you know, he can carry a team to the next level by himself. He is tremendous blue liner. Obviously, he's got skills off the charts. Definitely one of the best blue line defensemen in the league.
Absolutely.
Great shot, great checker. He's great at everything. So the Sharks didn't need him, but they got him, and it is what it is. They did give away maybe a piece or two. I thought that was important, but nothing major, nothing anywhere close to EK. So Sharks definitely made out on that deal, and yeah, like you said, a lot of broken hearts in Ottawa.
Yeah, and I actually kind of disagree with you a little bit there. I think San Jose does need him. You know, obviously they've had a lot of good looks at the Cup, but they've never been able to finish. And they have that aging core that is going to be, you know, out soon. And they don't have a lot to replace that. So I feel like this is San Jose's window. And this is a trade that they really needed to make to, you know, if they were going to get a Cup, this is how they have to do it. This is their last shot.
Yeah. Let me clarify, though. I didn't mean they didn't need it as in the team didn't need it. I just mean we don't need that in the West.
Right. Another powerhouse team. You know, we've got Vegas now. We've got Nashville. You know, Minnesota is always going to be in contender. Winnipeg. It's getting ridiculous out here. I mean, Anaheim is still a threat. It puts fear into my heart. It really does. I don't know if I'm going to be able to take this season.
Blues in Dallas aren't going to lay down either.
That's true. They got a lot better over the season, and the Central especially is just gonna be it's gonna be a tire fire for everybody. But you know, and then you throw those Pacific teams in, my God.
Yeah, just ugly. Well, welcome to the slaughterhouse, Central Division. But yeah, I think that's good for EK. So moving on.
Not yet. I gotta
say.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to go out here and say that Ottawa fans, I feel your pain. I have a lot of words on this because, you know, I, as a Jets fan, I've been a fan from the beginning. I've experienced suckage. I've seen, you know, a team be just absolutely crap, you know, through multiple years. And I take solace in that we had good ownership through all of that. You know, we had ownership who had a vision. We had a good GM that we could trust. And, you know, we never really had a doubt that we were going to be contenders again at some point. Ottawa doesn't have that with Eugene Melnyk. Everything is on fire right now. They have no idea what's coming for the future. They have no idea what they're going to do with this team. It's, you know, been blown up now. They lost their very identity. Ottawa was, I mean, Erik Karlsson was Ottawa. You know, if you're walking through Ottawa, if you saw a Sens jersey, chances are it was going to be an EK65 jersey. It's a huge loss for the city. It's a huge loss for the fans. And, you know, it is really all Eugene Melnyk's fault. And I think Pierre Dorian put it best in an interview earlier today, where they asked what the best thing about the Ottawa Senators was, and his reply was, "We're a team." That pretty much just sums the whole thing up. I feel really bad for Senators fans, and I extend my heart out to you guys.
That was a really good addition. I'm glad you interrupted there, because you did make some really good points. And I mean, giving up all the picks and the people they traded, and you're absolutely right. They have no idea what they want that roster to look like, and this is not something you can rebuild in the short term either. What they've done to this team, like you mentioned, it is a complete blow up, and so, boy, I just don't know.
They're definitely, they have an uphill battle, ahead of them, and really, they're a small market team as it is, and the genuine worries of what might happen in terms of their salary, because they already have an internal cap. So if they stop making the money they normally did, it's going to get even worse for them, and it's not going to be fixed till Eugene Melnick's out. But in the meantime, Senators, especially fans of other Canadian teams, we're with you. I think the entire NHL is with you, but especially, the Canadian teams, especially Winnipeg, who's kind of been in that situation before, we're with you all the way.
I echo those statements for sure. Oh, you ready to move on now?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, thank you for the permission. So we've got Montreal Canadiens captain Max Pacioretty was traded to the Vegas Golden Knights in exchange for Thomas Tatar, Nick Suzuki, and a second-round pick in the 2019 draft. So Vegas is looking off the charts. So what do you think their future holds now for this season?
They're definitely more of a threat with Patches coming in. It's something that they're already kind of stacked, and it bolsters them. I think we still have a lot to see with them yet, though, because the first season was obviously sort of a flash in the pan, lightning in a bottle sort of situation, and there are going to be players who regress this year, and we're going to see if it's anybody important. If they lose somebody like William Karlsson to regression, if he doesn't reach the numbers he once did, they're still going to be in trouble, even with Stastny, even with Pacioretty.
You brought up Karlsson again, and that's actually really good, not to be confused with the other one. But I think he performed spectacularly, especially in the playoffs last year. And then there was a lot of, earlier this year, I should say, but there was a lot of speculation that he's going to do some backsliding, and of course he is. I mean, in the regular season, you're not being pushed by playoff numbers, and we're going to get there or not. The whole first year Vegas thing was going on. That can force someone to play on a different level. You can't play on that level through 82 games. It's not going to happen. He's definitely going to backslide a little. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as much as people think, just because the culture of that team is so strong already, and they have that winning attitude and expectation already. So I think he'll still be, top on the team. He'll be a very important piece. So I'm going to like to push the naysayers out of the way a little bit. You agree with that?
Yeah. And really what I'm saying is it's just that it could be anybody on the team. I don't think William Karlsson is going to regress, massively, but, I think someone on the team is going to be someone that really stood out last year. Someone on that top line, maybe Marchessault or, Smith or somebody. I think we might still see regression in somebody. I don't want to point out William Karlsson specifically. I didn't mean to do that, because I think he still will be good, but at the same time, there's room for regression in that organization, and it's going to be somebody. They got to prepare for it, but they do have the pieces to fix it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no. And I wasn't calling out that you picked out Karlsson specifically, but it was a comment that I saw on social media earlier today. So I just wanted to highlight that.
I see.
But again, Vegas, another team in the West. It's obviously going to be a powerhouse. Man, the list of people in the West is just unbelievable. These teams, it's murder. So we're going to have a fun season, I think. Every team's going to have skill. Every team's going to vie. It's going to be a pretty awesome West for sure.
It really is. And I say this every year, and I'm wrong like almost every year, but I feel like a Western team will win the Stanley Cup this year. It's just there's too many odds stacked out here for it not to happen. There's too many teams that are good out here for that not to happen. So that's my prediction on that. Someone in the West is going to win, and it's going to be a meat grinder up, all the way through the playoffs until the Stanley Cup is held up. Well,
all right. So next we're going to actually hop over to one of your teams, so I'll let you take it.
Yeah, Josh Morrissey was signed to a 2-year, $6.3 million deal. The contract will carry an average annual value of $3.15 million. And, oh, man, I breathed such a sigh of relief when that happened. Even though it's just a bridge deal, at the same time, we needed it to get done. We have anxiety already over the Trouba situation. We're used to RFAs screwing us over big time. And it's nice to see, that not long term, but at least we have some faith that he probably will after the 2 years is up. And, just having it done is a huge load off. And, it's Josh Morrissey, so of course I'm real happy about that. The guy's a star player, star defenseman. I think as he grows, he actually is going to get better than Trouba, but we'll see what happens with that. But great value for him, a great deal. It's team friendly, it's player friendly, and he loves playing in Winnipeg.
Yeah, Morrissey's a really, really good guy. He's very, very hard worker. He's definitely worth that 3 and change for year for sure. And what he's going to be second line D pairing. Yeah.
It really depends. We're seeing how a lot of people perform in the preseason. I know that. My guess is probably he's going to be paired with Bufflin, but there are rumors, and that'll be the first pairing. But there are rumors that Tyler Myers wants to be paired with Bufflin, so he might be bumped down to the second one if they decide that's a good choice.
I think that's more likely. I really do, at least to start out with. Just the type of defenseman that they are. I think I would see. I don't know if I put Morrissey with Buff right away. I mean, it just depends on what the coach thinks. But
okay. But the thing about Bufflin though is that he has to be paired with a defensive defenseman, and he has to be paired with somebody who has chemistry with him because he will jump into the play. He will bobble the puck occasionally. We saw that in the playoffs against Vegas. He has to be there with somebody that can kind of pick up a little bit of his slack, and that's why I kind of lean towards more Morrissey being with Bufflin because he plays well with him and he complements his style pretty well. But again, it's up to Paul Maurice. What he sees in the preseason is going to decide a lot of that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I'll give that one to you.
That's about all I got on Morrissey. I mean, it's a great deal. It's good to have a great young star defenseman locked down.
All right, good deal. And then moving on, we've got Darnell Nurse. He was re-signed by the Oilers. He's got $3.2 million. Is he worth 3.2?
I mean, I think he is, kind of. He has that ceiling. I thought about it because you and I had a text conversation a couple of days ago when it happened, and we were kind of like, he's not worth that. But I thought about it a little bit, and his ceiling is definitely there. And I think that it's not that bad of a deal. It's not a typical Chiarelli deal that takes him in 5 years, 6 years at a ridiculous value. It's definitely a careful deal, and it's something that they can get out of pretty easy. A couple years down the road if it doesn't pan out. I think the ceiling is there, and I think this is just kind of a prove it deal for him.
Yeah, I still think 3.2 is a little high for prove it deal because that's kind of the conversation we had. I don't know, maybe I had said 2. Yeah, I lowballed that. But 2.5, 2 3/4, I think might have been a little more reasonable for a prove it deal. Give him a 1 or 2 with bonus opportunity maybe. 3.2, I get, hey, if they agreed on it, then they see value. And you're right, he does have a ceiling. He could be worth a 3.2, could be worth a little more even. But he's got to prove it, and Oilers is not a fun team to have to prove anything on right now.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of crashed and burned last year, but I'm curious to see what happens. I might concede a little bit that it's still on the high side, but overall, I mean, it's not that bad of a deal. We'll just have to see what pans out with him. He has a Morrissey-like potential. It's just a matter of whether he reaches it or not. And, it could be worse. Peter Chiarelli is their GM, so I think it's pretty decent.
I got one for you that's actually not on the sheet here. I kind of want to get your input on it too. What about, obviously, semi-big news? It's a little bit older news, but what about JT going to the Maple Leafs? How do you feel about that deal?
Oh, it's just, I feel so bad for, his previous fans. I saw a picture of an Isles fan today that was wearing a jersey that his name was taped over and it just said Pajama Boy on it because of that picture of him in the Maple Leafs bed. He's already contributing. He's scored, I think it was tonight, maybe last night. I don't remember when they played, but he scored. He's looking good with them. The Leafs really, they're going to be good. They're going to be a good franchise. They might be one of the best in the East this year. They're absolutely stacked. And I'm curious to see who their captain is, though. I'm wondering if it's going to be Johnny T or if it's going to be Austin Matthews.
I think we'll probably stick with Austin Matthews, at least for the first little while. Definitely put an A on JT's jersey. I mean, you'd be crazy not to. And also, I know we already talked about this deal a little bit, but a little bit of time has passed, and I just wanted to kind of bring it up again because it was so impactful in the East.
There's been some time to digest it, and we've seen him in action with the Leafs for the first time, so it's definitely a good thing to bring up. I'm glad you did. And, it just goes to show how much more dangerous this Leaf squad is than the one we knew even 2 years ago.
True. And right actually on the line of that, talking about action has started, we did see our first action between our teams, Jets and Wild. So how did you feel about the preseason game? Who looked good? Who'd you like? What did you think?
Well, it was a pretty good game. Everyone played well. It was just a matter of seeing the people who we want to give chances and seeing if they deserve that chance. Marco Dano, for instance, scored the first goal. He looked great the entire game. He's been working real hard to get out of the press box. He looked really good. Patan didn't look so good, though. He's been trying to break into the NHL. He didn't really do anything. Roslovic looks like a star. He looks like he could actually center Patrick Laine and Nick Ehlers. The rest of the team was pretty much standard fare. All the D looked good. I'm glad Joe Morrow scored a quote-unquote goal, but I like him quite a bit. It made up for the previous one where Hammond, knocked his net off. That was very clear.
Couldn't see the puck.
Yeah, but he knocked his net off. But, regardless, it's preseason. It doesn't really matter that much. I think everyone on the Jets performed well. I saw what I wanted to out of everybody, but, pretty much Patan and Vesalainen. And Vesalainen surprised me because he looked so good at Penticton. He looked so good playing in the European leagues. If he keeps this up, he's definitely going back to Europe this year. He's lagging behind the play. He's not as strong on the puck as I thought he would be, and he just doesn't look that great. That's it for the Jets, I think. Everyone else is pretty much standard fare on our team.
What about your goalie? I mean, that was the
big
yes.
story. I mean, how could I forget that?
Plug him a little more.
See, I'm not used to talking about good goalies. It's something that's foreign to Jets fans. But yes, Laurent Brossoit, he looked hella buckish. I'm really happy to see that because he's a guy that, he played for the Oilers. Obviously, playing for the Oilers says everything. He came off a really bad season. He trained with Hellebuck's trainer over the season, and man, he was steady in net. He looked like Hellebuck. If I didn't have a name or number to look at on that jersey and they never zoomed in on him, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that was or wasn't Hellebuck. I mean, he looked identical.
I agree. Yeah, he looked really good. And actually, on the other side of the ice, Andy Hammond, Hamburglar, he looked actually pretty good too. Obviously, he's trying to make a comeback, and I think he had a really solid game. I realize that, yes, it's half a team of babies right now, and it's not really about wins and losses right now. It's about seeing performance and work ethic and all that good sort of thing. But I mean, the people that we expected to see skill out on the Wild side, I definitely think we saw that. Obviously, things are a little bit sloppy. That's normal for a first preseason game. But Matt Hendricks, he looked fantastic, and I really hope he cracks the club at least for the first little bit. I don't want to send him back down again because I think he's got a place on our third line. But I thought that he was really great too.
I want to jump in quick before
you
get off the topic about Hendricks, because obviously he played for us last year. The man, I'm convinced, is magic. He's like a leprechaun or something, because he just has a unique ability to inspire the locker room, and that's going to be his important part on the Wild, is to really drive a good atmosphere in the locker room. And he can perform if he's put with good line mates. I really like him. I think he's a really good locker room guy. I think he's a necessary part to a team that maybe needs to get a little bit better, and they need to have a little bit more faith in themselves. I think you can disagree with me here, but I think the Wild kind of need that a little bit after the first round exit last season, and Matt Hendricks definitely is the guy to do that.
Oh, yeah, and even to that key, Boudreau was quoted afterwards saying that Hendricks is lively and loud on the bench all the time. He never stops. He's always hyped up and ready to go, which is great. We definitely need that.
But yeah, Definitely, and I kind of just want to jump back to Hammond really quick too, because he is someone who's kind of
Sure.
jumped around a little bit, and yeah, he looked really good last night, and I'm happy for him. The Hamburglar days in Ottawa are gone, and he's kind of dropped off, and I would really like to see him bounce back as a solid backup for the Wild, or if Dubnyk gets hurt, even being a starter. I would really like to see that. The guy has he has a good attitude about him, and I really like him as a goaltender.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I mean, I love all three of our goalies now. I'm really liking Hammond's performance. But I mean, Stalock, he kind of belongs in Iowa. I think he's great. He's a great backup. I like seeing him. He's got a lot of skills. I think Hammond might fit that position a little better on the NHL level. But I'm not going to diss Stalock either. He's got some serious skills. And then we had, of course, a couple of defensemen. Coyle looked really good, strong on the wall as always. He's exactly as expected.
It was funny, too, because I was laughing at how some of the Jets rookies, like Sami Niku especially, just didn't know how to deal with him. He's so strong on the puck, you cannot strip it from him. And Niku especially, and Logan Stanley a little bit, looked completely lost trying to do the board battles with him. Just because he's such a unique player, and it's so hard to get the puck away from that guy.
Yeah, I think the main strategy that works is just to wait him out. Don't go in after it because he'll beat you. So just make him work. Just kind of block him off and just stand there. Make him make a pass because if you're in his way, he can't go anywhere. You're not going to get the puck away from Coyle. Now, I will say that on both sides of the ice it was a little sloppy, for sure. And Niederreiter, again, I was just not happy with. Niederreiter was not himself. He's got to step up his game because we're paying him the money. He's got the skills. Even in the first preseason game, he looked angry and stressed and frustrated. So something's got to click with that boy.
Oh, yeah. I also just want to point out that there was some buzzing right there. I'm pretty sure that was, your Wild fans in your group calling to lament the loss and, just praise the Jets as much as they could. I know how that goes.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what it was. Shut up.
But do you have anybody else you're thinking about on the Wild that really shined? I think we covered pretty much everybody.
The only other one that I call out, actually, probably Sealer, because I think he's going to try and crack the defensive line. Maybe pair him up with maybe Dumba, perhaps. But Sealer looked really good, and that's the only other one that I'd really want to call out specifically.
I actually want to call out Klus just for the reason that he has a great hockey name. I love that name.
That is a great name, isn't it?
Oh, I also wanted to point out about this game. Which feed were you watching?
The Jets feed was the only one that is on the NHL Network.
Gotcha. So you heard Dennis Byack call the Winnipeg Jets the Leafs then, didn't you? He goes right in the middle of the game. He's like, the Leafs? Oh, I mean the Jets.
I didn't actually catch that, no.
Yeah. I love Dennis Byack just because that kind of stuff happens all the time, but it gives me a little laugh. Especially when it's, talking about the Leafs on a Jets broadcast. I'm sure that went over well.
That's crazy. I don't know how in the world. That's awesome.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So we're going to take a quick break, and I think we're going to come back with the 5-Minute Major, right? Our new kind of little series to start off the season.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the Unlucky Puckheads podcast, 5-Minute Major for the Minnesota Wild. I am CK, and I'm joined, as always, by PA Jets.
How's it going? Posers? I'm doing quite well. I'm really excited to get this series started because it gives us an opportunity to talk about quite a lot of NHL teams in more detail than we'd normally be able to.
For sure. And it is just a brief touch on each one to keep it short so that if you're interested in the team, you just get to listen to your team's 5-minute major, and then maybe you can get a little taste for the podcast. But actually, I'm going to jump right into it. So, of course, we are talking about the Minnesota Wild, which is, of course, my favorite team. First, we're going to start off with the first-round pick by Minnesota. It was Philippa Hansen. He is a defenseman. For those of you familiar with the Wild, he is very much like Brodin, Suter, like that sort of a stay-at-home defenseman. Excellent blue line shot. Very, very good skate speed for a defenseman. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. I believe he's going to he was at camp, definitely. I think he's going to try and crack the lineup. I don't know if they're going to start him right away or not. I kind of hope they don't, honestly. I like to see defensemen take a season or two for a little bit of seasoning down in the minors or wherever they are. But still, it's a great pickup. Good D, going to be a good second-line defenseman at least.
And I support that statement of him maybe spending a year down, because really the Wild are in no dire need of that type of defenseman right now. So I think that if you gave him a little bit of development time, just a little bit of time to get used to the speed of the game, to get used to the Wild's organization, definitely that'll help quite a bit. And like I said, the Wild definitely don't have any real holes on defense, so he's not needed quite right away, I don't think.
I absolutely agree. So then, of course, we acquired Matt Reed, and we've re-signed a lot of really important players to the team, notably number 1, Jason Zucker. We definitely needed Jason Zucker. He's going to definitely be a power forward. I've mentioned that so many times. He's a great sniper, great skater. I'm really glad we signed him again. It came a little close. I was a little nervous, but everything came through okay. Of course, we got Dumba, Patarin, Brown, Chad Rao. We got all those guys re-signed, so that's good. The young blood isn't going anywhere. We want to keep it as long as we can, because the top line there, top 2 lines there, we got some age going on. Not anything against them, but we definitely need some young bloods to start filling some holes. Any comment on the re-signings at all?
Just on Zucker, really, because you didn't think he was going to sign it with the Wild at first. You thought he was going to go home.
I thought he was going to Vegas. Yeah, that's what I thought for sure. I thought there'd be a trade and a signing for Vegas, because that's his hometown. I thought, he got an NHL team there. I figured that's where he'd go, but he decided to stay with Minnesota, and that's fantastic.
He's definitely a huge part of that team, and I would compare his speed to like Nick Ehlers. He is just he's fast. He's a big part of that, and I think, like you said, he's definitely the first and foremost of the re-signings. But everybody that was re-signed was important in their own way, and your new GM, who I just immediately forgot the name of, is definitely kind of rolling a little bit more than I feel like Fletcher did. I kind of gives me a little bit of hope in him to really perform a little bit better in the GM role. What's his name? I'm gonna feel stupid.
You would do that to me, wouldn't you? Because when you do that, the person you ask the question to, especially when they're an old guy like me, we blank out. You know that, right?
Oh yeah. You're getting senile, right? You can't even remember your own GM. I guess I can't talk because we've had the same GM since the team came back. But I'm looking it up right now. Paul Fenton. I feel stupid. It's Paul Fenton.
Yes. Yeah. I knew that too. Come on, seriously. Oh, well, sorry, Paul. You're too new, and I'm too focused on the players right now to worry about what you're doing up there. Because I'm not worried about it. You're doing a fine job. That's a good thing though. If you can't remember your GM's name, that means you're not mad at him,
right? He does have kind of a generic name too. It's like that, angry video game nerd type name.
Oh man, I'm some fan. I am. Huh? But anyway, I tell you, jerk. But anyway, getting back to the team itself, which is the important part, not the GM. But of course, we have Mikko Koivu. We've got Suter is back and healthy, which is awesome news. Spurgeon's going to be lining up with Suter, I'm sure. We have, of course, Stahl is back in rare form. Parisi is healthy and ready to go. We have a very good, strong lineup. I think Zucker kind of gives us the scoring touch that we needed. But not to get down on anybody else, but Coyle looks like he's in form as normal. I want to see Niederreiter, of course, pick things up, like I've said before, because he needs to be a scorer, and he is a scorer. But I'd like to see him pick it up. And of course, we've got our usual backline defenseman, Matt Dumba. So I'm sure he'll be fantastic with his shot and everything. I look for him to break 15 goals again this year. I'd love to see that. But really, internal moves, I'm expecting probably a trade or two. probably before halfway through the year. I'm not sure what pieces will be moved. I mean, our core, I'm sure, will stay the same. But we do have a couple of players that don't have no trade clauses, and I know that Paul Fenton is going to be looking for a little bit more offense. So somebody maybe to be a winger on the first or second line, that deal might be done, because I don't think he's the type to sit back and just see what happens. He seems to be a little more proactive. So that's how I feel about that. Do you have any comments there?
Not really. Just generally, I think the Wild need that scoring touch. They need a real star, like a Laine or a Scheifele or a Patty Kane or something that can come out and really be a big part of the team. And I think there's a couple people that you could trade and potentially get that, where they might not be getting the opportunities that they would otherwise right now. I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to jinx anything, but I think there are a few names out there that if you gave them a shot, it would definitely work out. At least is my faith in it. But generally, you need that star, and I do agree with you that there probably will be some trades made.
All right, that sounds great. So we definitely have a playoff contender again. Is it enough to make a deep run in the playoffs? I'm not sure. I doubt it, but you could. It all depends on how the games go and how your goalie goes. You know how that is. Goalie, Devin Dubnyk. He's expected to
of course.
perform as normal. But all right, that is the Minnesota Wild in our 5-minute major. And, of course, you can visit our webpage at unluckypuckheads.com and social media at UPH Podcast on Twitter and the Unlucky Puckheads on Facebook. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great evening.
Take off, eh?
That's right.